Welcome back. It's time for the second round of the 2024 Chess.com Daily Chess Championship. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's one of the largest chess tournaments run by Chess.com every year. And I've participated in it for 2 or 3 years. Thousands of people sign up for this every time, and a bunch of people don't actually participate in it. They time out. And my first round group only ended up with 5 out of 12 that played any games at all, and the rest timed out. But of the few of us who did play, I won out. And I was pretty happy with that outcome, but then I had to wait a couple of months for all the players and all the other groups to make their moves. And some people with daily or correspondence chess wait until the last minute every time. So some of these games took 3 months. But anyway, I'm going to switch over and show you this is the tournament page for my group for the second round. Again, I'm one of 12 players, but this time I'm not the highest or second highest rated player in the group. This time I'm the 9th highest rated player out of 12. With my daily rating of 1300, there are 8 people rated higher than me in this group, and I don't think I've ever beaten anybody rated 1900 or 1700 or 1600. I think maybe once in the past I got a win against a 1500 rated player, and a few times I have beaten players rated in the 1400s. So just statistically, the chances of me winning out in this group and advancing to the third round are really, really low, and I'm not counting on it, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to get as many wins as I can. And I think the most surprising thing to me about this group is that there's a player rated 985. That means that player won out in their first round group of 12 players and is still rated only 985. That's outstanding. Although I just took a look at their first round group, and in that one, almost everyone timed out. And there were only a couple of players rated higher than them in their first round group, and those 2 timed out as well. But what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to make the first or second move in each of the games that are waiting on me, and then I'll provide another update once I know more about how this tournament is progressing. In all the games where I was white, I opened with c4, which is the English opening, which I've been playing recently, but I have not had much of a chance to play in daily games yet, just in rapid. So when my opponent responds with e5, I play knight to c3, which I believe is one of the best moves. In fact, I'm going to unconfirm that move. And in daily games and correspondence on the other site, you are allowed to check the opening book. In this one, you can see what masters have played in this situation. About half have played knight to c3, and then g3 is the next most common move, and all the others are really uncommon. So I'm just going to play the most common move. So let's play knight to c3 and confirm the move and move on to the next game. Against the same opponent, they have opened as white with e4, so I will play the Caro-Kann defense, as I almost always do, and then we'll move from there. Against a different 1400 rated player, this one from South Korea, again, we'll play the Caro-Kann defense. And that same player has responded to my English with getting this knight out, and I'm pretty sure here I played g3, but I'm just going to check the opening book out of curiosity. Again, this opening is relatively new to me. It says most masters here play knight to c3. In fact, it's even more common here than knight to c3 was in the other position. That's interesting. But g3 and knight to f3 are also very common as well. So maybe I should change what I'm playing, and that's one reason for looking at the opening books. And that's one reason that I play daily games, is to practice these openings, to kind of get a familiarity with certain positions. So that's what we'll play. Let's confirm it. This 1500 rated opponent from Lithuania, I don't know. I probably have played somebody from Lithuania before, but anyway, they've opened with d4, and I've been responding with knight to f6, going for the Indian game. That same opponent has responded to my English with e5, so again, I'll play knight to c3. And here I have one of the very few opponents that's rated lower than me in this tournament, and this one is that Norway? Okay, it is Norway. They played e5, so I'll play the e4, and I will play the Caro-Kann defense. And that's the way these daily tournaments go, especially the big ones, is on the first day or two, you just make basically the same move in every game. Every now and then there's a minor variation if one of your opponents has a pet opening, but most of them are going to play e4 or d4, and so I have, ready responses to those, and I just make those. And so all the games look very similar on these first couple of days. Usually though, within a few days, some of the players start moving faster and they respond differently to what I do. So, we end up with a wide variety of games. In the other game against that same opponent, they've played e5, so I'll play knight to c3. I have experimented with when I have, multiple opponents play the same thing. I've played 2 different things just to kind of see which one works better. And I might do that a little bit later, third or fourth move. But at this point in this opening, I'm pretty sure that this is the normal and best response. And this opponent has played the symmetrical English, the symmetrical variation, and in that one I think I also play knight to c3, but again I'm going to check the opening book because this one I don't see very often. Only seen it a couple of times. See, in this one most masters play knight to f3. That's interesting. I wasn't aware. Again, I haven't seen this version of the opening, but maybe a couple of times, because usually what happens in the English, if I play here and then later I play these 2 pawns forward, I end up putting the knight behind the e pawn, but I won't obviously be able to do that if I play it here. But again, it's a lot of this for me is about learning the opening. So now that I know that at least in this opening book, most masters play here, I'll try it. And of course, whoops, I forgot to click confirm move. And of course, I can always play knight to c3 later. So let's try this. But I am not very accustomed to playing the English with this knight here. Like I said, usually it ends up behind the e pawn. In the other game against that opponent, they've played e4. So again, play the Caro-Kann defense. And against that one opponent that I mentioned who was rated 985 from Poland, they have played e4, so we'll play the Caro-Kann defense. And like most people, they've responded to the English with e5, so let's play knight to c3. And this is one of the opponents who's rated far above me. Is that France's flag? No, that's the Netherlands. I thought France was red, white, and blue. Maybe it's side-by-side stripes. I don't know. I'm obviously not incredibly familiar with flags from around the world. I just try to guess them to help me learn them. But anyway, we're going to play knight to c3 here. And against that same opponent with the other color, we're going to play the Caro-Kann defense. Here against my 1648 rated player from Germany. I was about to say Germany, but then I had a doubt. But anyway, they have played an unusual, at least to me, response to my English. I think that's meant to protect a d5 push, but I think either way they would lose a center pawn. That's called the Agincourt defense, according to this opening book. And I probably have seen that, I just don't remember it. And I'm just going to guess that what masters play here is knight to c3, although g3 is probably up there as well. Let's take a look at the opening book. Knight to f3 is slightly more common here for masters, but knight to c3 has a very similar win rate, and g3 is also pretty common with a very similar win rate. So let's play knight to c3 because that's the one that I've become more comfortable with, and see how that goes. Of course, now, again, I forgot to click the confirm move button, but both my knight here and this pawn will be, defending that square if they play d5. And of course, they'll have two pieces defending that square as well if they play d5. But if I play knight to c3 now, and they do play this pawn, and I take, and they take, then I've just lost my c pawn, but they've lost a center pawn. Is that actually how this goes? Let me see. If I play knight to c3, do they play? Looks like d5 is definitely what I can expect here. And if I play d4, which is the most common, isn't that a transposition into the queen's gambit declined? Yes, the queen's gambit declined, queen's knight defense. Okay, well, I've played that a few times, so I think, it won't be entirely unusual to me, except, never having gotten a win against somebody rated that high. Okay, but that's what I wanted to see. If they did play that and I didn't take it, then we would transpose. Okay, well, let's see if that's what they want. And in the other game against that opponent, we'll play the Caro-Kann defense. I think the only other player that I haven't made a move against yet is this one, New King James, who's rated 1924. And since I opened with the English in the other game, he has opened with the English in this game. That's interesting. I'm curious as to what he played against me in the other game, where I played the English before I make a move in this game. Okay, New King James responded to my English with knight to f6, so maybe that's what I should play against him in the other one. Usually when I face the English, I've been trying to play, e5 here, but again, I have no idea, what I'm most comfortable with yet because I haven't faced it enough, so I'm just going to play what he played against me, or she, I have no idea. Interestingly, I did just check their profile, and they're rated slightly lower than me in Rapid, although they haven't played nearly as many Rapid games as I have, but that's curious, that they're rated this much higher than me in Daily, but lower than me in Rapid. Okay, let me switch over to their other game against me. Now in this one, just like the others, I'm going to play knight to c3 here. I could do that strategy where I wait and see what they play in the other one and then play that here, but I'm not going to do that because that seems something seems off about that. I'm just going to play my game here and do my best against a 1900 rated opponent. And so now I'm pretty sure I've made a move against every one of these players. One of them, while I was making the other moves in the other games, has already responded to the ones I did earlier in the video, but I don't feel a need to respond to that immediately. And a couple of them, like this 1500 rated player, have not played any moves yet. That player is from Nigeria. And here's another one rated 1200 who hasn't yet responded to any of my moves. But anyway, I just wanted to reintroduce the topic that this tournament still exists, and we're now in the second round, and if anything major changes, I'll keep you updated. But I'm not going to do what I did for the first round, which is record a little snippet for every day and then try to put that all into one big video. That took a lot of time and effort and organization and editing on my part. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.